Hey, good morning. Welcome to Hobby Evolution episode number 69. It's Thursday. We are over the hump, heading into the weekend. What's up? Today, I've got a couple topics. First, I did get some mail yesterday, so I'll show off the Cubs cards that arrived in Wednesday's mailbox. And I want to talk a little bit about hobby goals, specifically what I'm focusing on here coming up for 2021. I don't have much time this morning to talk, so I am going to maybe tomorrow morning address kind of how I approach goals, especially within the hobby. So, first, I want to get to the mail day. 152 Cubs baseball cards arrived yesterday from Brian in Indiana. He even included a note. Hope this pushes you over 500K. Well, Brian, thank you very much for the Cubs cards. One package too late, but you pushed me over 500,100 Cubs cards. So Brian sent 152. So my total count now 500,174. 500,174. There was a cool 73 tops. Whitey Lockman, one of my favorite 70 set designs. I'm going to say that about every 70 set with the exception of 76 and 79. Don't like those two sets, but the others are among my favorites. And then I love the old finest, Topps Finest Sandberg from 1994, stack of 152 from Brian in Indiana. He's on Twitter. Brian Will Made It, at Brian Will Made It. Thank you, Brian. Gotta find, I had a box over here. So set those there. So I want to talk about what my plans are for 2021 hobby goals. I've been thinking about this as the third quarter came to an end. Now we're a week into the fourth quarter. So now is the time to kind of start planning your 2021 goals and looking ahead to the first quarter of the next year. So the number is always going to be the focus for my goals, and in attaching a goal number for Cubs baseball cards in a year. So this year's goal was 500,000 and just reached it earlier this week. So gives me a little added cushion going into the next 3 months. The goal for 2021 end of year is kind of a moving target. Right now, I kind of have a number in mind based on where I'm at, and this is now in year 3 of the project. So I'm give or take several thousand. The Cubs cards received in a year around 125,000. So I can kind of go based on that and put 150,000 on top just to, make it, a goal that's attainable. That I can reach. So right now, the moving target is at 650,000, and that's with my current number just over 500,000. That could change. It'll probably end up being closer to 675,000, just depending on how many more Cubs cards are received this year. If I do conduct a couple of large trades that push me up to 550,000, then that number likely moves to 700,000 by the end of next year. So moving target currently 650, but it's likely going to end up in the 675 range, potentially as high as 700,000. So that's kind of the moving target range, 650 to 700,000. For the end of next year. So that's the main focus on the project hobby goals. And then every year I come up with some others. This year was to get, I think it was to get organized. And I think that's every year. And I did it. And I actually got a really good head start with the pandemic, with having extra time. For the maybe first 2 weeks, I began logging my Javier Baez collection in Trading Card Database. I also sorted through about half of my collection, maybe more than that, and pulling out the Baez, the Chris Bryant, Sandberg, a lot of the star players, to get those organized, as opposed to just sorting every single card into player, which is cumbersome and probably something that I will tackle once I reach the 1 million mark. So after 2 weeks, eBay gave us 50,000 free listings. So I used the opportunity for that first month, to build my eBay store and take advantage of those extra free listings. All of a sudden, sales spiked. eBay continued that for the next couple months, and so that's been the focus through much of 2020, is just getting rid of the excess inventory that I have by selling the $1, $2, $3, $4 cards. And in the process, I've found some really valuable cards. Some sold for $25, $50. One sold for $75. It was hidden in a box for several years. So that's been the focus here, along with reaching my Cubs goal, is getting rid of, by selling in my eBay store, my excess cards. So going into 2021, I want to continue to maintain the eBay sales, but at the same time, it's going to be hard to continue scaling up once things get back to normal. I'll have less time on my hands. So I'll want to find more balance. So it's working for me right now, and probably through the end of the year. Hopefully this pandemic ends and we can get life back to normal, and I won't have to worry about it, the extra time. So yesterday and last night, I was thinking about the organization process. And now that I'm into the second half of this project, now I need to start thinking of what is beyond the end goal. So once I reach 1 million, then what? That's when organization, and I've said this since the very early stages of my project, when I realized how time consuming the organization aspect is. It's very difficult to both get organized and conduct all these trades and sort through cards for trades. And I'm also selling to help with the postage, because it's based on like the average trade, postage is over $20,000 alone just in trading. And that doesn't take into account some of the purchases and all that. So that's why I'm really pumping the eBay store to have that money in for postage and cards that I want for my Cubs collection. So Ben Wilson from the About the Cards podcast has a master spreadsheet checklist for the Oakland Athletics. He's a super collector for the Oakland A's. So he sent that to me a couple years ago. Excuse me. So I'm using that as kind of an idea and a starting point for what I want my own checklist. And I kind of started, I started to put it down into a spreadsheet. What do I want, and how is it going to look? Can I use this? Can I print this out to take with me to a card show if I find an old pre-war card, if I find some oddball stuff? Because right now I really don't have an idea of what I have and what I don't have. Basically, it's kind of on looks, but then I'll go back and I'll find a pile that, oh yeah, I remember I bought a bunch of random oddball 50s and 60s cards at the National last year. Forgot about that. So I do need a checklist, and I like to hold books. I like to read newspapers. I don't like to read online. And especially it's not as feasible to look up on your phone as I'd like to make a book. So I think that's a plan down the road. Once I get the checklist established, is to make it like a printed book that I can mark off when I go to shows and card shops. So I want the checklist to I want it to be copy and pasted into a book format. I want it to be easy to check off and to find what I need. And I want all the information to be there, because it's really difficult to go back and Oh, I forgot a notes section. What if it's a serial numbered card and all of a sudden it's all of these things start coming out? So I kind of came to a mental roadblock as I had my idea in place. So I took the dog for a walk last night, and I was thinking about that's when the book idea came. It's like, well, if I have this spreadsheet in Excel, it's on my computer. I'm not going to take it to a card show, and I could do it in a Google sheet. I don't like working on Google Docs. I haven't adapted yet. I use them, but I don't like to use them. I'd rather have the program, but obviously that's not as feasible because if I have the machine, if I have the document down here, then I have to email it to my other computer or to my phone, and it's just difficult to use. So I was thinking about this, and that's when the printed idea came. And then it's like, well, maybe I should just print sheets off of Trading Card Database or Team Sets for You. And that's really hard because there's just not a very easy printed format for teams, is at least on Trading Card Database that I could find. So I went back and I tackled the spreadsheet once again, and I think I found the one thing that I wanted on the spreadsheet. And after my walk, I actually added two things. I added a checkbox, which initially it's difficult to add. Not difficult; it's time consuming to add a checkbox for thousands of cells. But you could copy and paste it. So I didn't realize that at first. I should that was the first thing you should have done. And I took several advanced Excel courses in college when I went back 10 years ago. But I still feel like a rookie. It's so complex. So I did the copy and paste on the checkbox so I can check if I have a card. And then it's like, well, in the end, I have 1,300 1978 Topps Rick Russell cards. So how am I going to, on this checklist, I need a column for how many cards I have. And then I could add to it, oh, I had two more Rick Russell. Now I'm up to 1,302. So I added that column. So sometimes getting away and taking a walk to kind of refreshen your mind, it did well for this idea yesterday evening, last night, as I took the dog for a walk and thought through all of this. So the checklist is in the process. I think I completed like the first 2 years, which is 1886 and 1887, realizing, wow, this is going to take me forever. And I think Ben said it took him 2 or 3 years to compile. So that's about 3 years maybe when I reach 1 million. So maybe I'm starting this at the right time. So that's kind of where I'm at with the organization. I'm going to continue that the rest of this year and into next year. And maybe by January 1, things change and goals change. And it's not really a main goal, but right now it's a main goal along with the achieving the whatever number it may be, 650 to 700,000 for Cubs cards. So that's where I'm at. I've compiled the checklist for 1886 and 1887. It's difficult to find team checklists. Trading Card Database is really good. They say there's 125-ish thousand Cubs cards, but that's Cubs only. So the Chicago White Stockings, which they were in the 1800s, there's about 400 cards. Minor league cards are not part of the Chicago Cubs count in Trading Card Database. Beckett has, they're listed to be about 150,000. You have to have a subscription to really dive into that, which I haven't. And that may include, that would, if minor league cards were in that count, that would make sense with that 20,000 disparity. So I'm not sure if somebody does have a Beckett subscription, if they can look into that for me, if minor league cards are part of that team count, that would be awesome. So that is what I had for today. I did go longer than what I anticipated because I can be long-winded at times. So 152 cards came in the mail yesterday, 500,174 Cubs cards in the collection. Thanks for watching. Follow me on Twitter at 1 million Cubs. If you're not already, please hit subscribe on this YouTube channel. You can also find me on the web, 1millioncubs.com. If you're looking for anything, over 3,000, maybe 4,000 cards in my eBay store. Link is at the top of Cubs.com. Volume discounts, automatic at checkout when you buy 3 or more cards out of my eBay store. Again, that link at 1millioncubs.com.